The stars were quiet in the Zerian sector when the first distress signal broke through the void. Ambassador Kefver of the Villani people sat in his comfortable chair on the bridge of the research ship, Harmony's Grace. His long fingers moved across the control panel as he studied the morning reports from distant colonies. The Villani were peaceful beings. They had soft blue skin and large eyes that showed kindness to all they met. Kefver had spent 30 years helping different species work together in the Galactic Council. He believed in talk, not war. He believed problems could be solved with words and patience. The alarm sound made him jump. His assistant, a young Villani named Porth, rushed to the communication station. The screen showed red warning lights flashing across the star map. "Ambassador, we are getting an emergency signal from Zerian Prime," Porth said. His voice shook with worry. "The mining colony is under attack." Kefver stood up quickly. Zerian Prime was home to 50,000 beings from many different species. They worked together mining rare metals from the planet's deep caves. Families lived there. Children played in the colony gardens. It was supposed to be safe. Who is attacking them? Kefver asked. "The Karthek Dominion, sir. They have 12 heavy warships surrounding the planet." Kefver felt his heart sink. The Karthek were not like other species. They were warriors who took what they wanted by force. Their ships were dark and covered with weapons. They had been moving through the outer worlds for months, taking colonies and making slaves of the people. "Send a message to the Galactic Council," Kefver ordered. "Tell them we need help at Zerian Prime right away." "Yes, Ambassador." "But sir, the Council fleet is 3 days away." 3 days. Kefver knew the mining colony could not last 3 days against 12 Karthak warships. The colony had only basic defenses. They were miners, not soldiers. Far across space, Captain Jake Murphy stood on the bridge of his ship, the New Horizon. He was a tall man with brown hair and steady eyes. His ship was small compared to the great vessels of other species. It carried only 200 crew members. But it was fast and strong, and Murphy loved taking it to places no human had ever seen. Murphy was looking at star charts when his communication officer, Lieutenant Lisa Hayes, called out to him. "Captain, I'm picking up a distress signal. It's coming from the Zerian system." "Put it on the main screen," Murphy said. The message was broken and full of static, but the words were clear enough. The mining colony was under attack. People were dying. They needed help. Lisa looked at the navigation display. "Sir, Zerian Prime is 4 hours away at maximum speed." "But Captain, we don't know how many enemy ships are there." Murphy studied the star map. He thought about the 50,000 people on that colony. He thought about families hiding in their homes while enemy ships fired down from space. He thought about children crying in fear. "Set course for Zerian Prime." Murphy said, "Maximum speed, sir." Lisa stood up from her station. "We should wait for backup. If there are many enemy ships, we won't be able to help anyone." Murphy turned to look at his crew. They were good people. They had joined him to explore new worlds and make friends with alien species. They had not signed up to fight wars. But Murphy knew what kind of man he was. He knew what kind of people humans were. "Lisa, send a message to Earth Fleet Command. Tell Admiral Rodriguez we need full support at Zerian Prime. Tell her it's an emergency." "Full support, sir? That could mean hundreds of ships." "That's right." Murphy said, "We don't send small help. We either send everything, or we become everything." Lisa had served with Murphy for 2 years. She knew that look in his eyes. She knew he would not change his mind. She opened the communication channel. "To Earth Fleet Command, this is the New Horizon. Captain Murphy requests immediate full fleet support at Zerian Prime. We have a colony under attack with 50,000 civilians in danger." The answer came back in less than a minute. Admiral Kate Rodriguez's voice was strong and clear. "New Horizon, This is Admiral Rodriguez. Full fleet deployment authorized. Operation Deathworlders promise is now in effect. Every available ship is being called up. Hold position until we arrive. Murphy smiled. Negative, Admiral. We're going in now. Those people can't wait. There was silence on the channel for a moment. Then Rodriguez spoke again. Understood, Captain. Godspeed. The cavalry is coming. On. The Harmony's Grace, Ambassador Keffer watched his screens with growing worry. The Galactic Council had sent him to try to talk to the Karthak. They hoped words could stop the attack. But Keffer knew the Karthak did not listen to words. They only understood strength. Ambassador, Porth called out. I'm detecting another ship moving toward Zarian Prime. It's not one of ours. Karthak reinforcements? Keffer asked. No, sir. The ship signature is .human. Keffer felt confused. Humans were new to the galaxy. They had only made contact with the Council 5 years ago. Their ships were small, and their numbers were few. Why would a human ship go toward such danger? Are they running away from the system? Keffer asked. No, Ambassador. They are heading directly toward Zarian Prime at maximum speed. Keffer did not understand. No single ship could fight 12 Karthak warships. It would be destroyed in minutes. Perhaps the humans did not understand the danger. Perhaps they needed to be warned. Open a channel to the human ship, Keffer ordered. The screen showed Captain Murphy standing on his bridge. He looked calm and ready. Human Captain, this is Ambassador Keffer of the Galactic Council. You are heading toward extreme danger. 12 enemy warships are attacking Zarian Prime. You should turn back and wait for help. Murphy nodded politely. Thank you for the warning, Ambassador. But we're not turning back. Those people need help now. Captain, you cannot fight 12 ships with one. It is not possible. You're right, Ambassador. One ship can't fight 12. That's why we're bringing more. Keffer felt even more confused. How many more ships do you have? Murphy's smile was not friendly. It was the smile of a man going to war. All of them. The New Horizon dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zarian system. Captain Murphy stood on his bridge and looked at the main screen. What he saw made his jaw tighten with anger. 12 dark ships surrounded the mining planet like hungry wolves around a wounded deer. The Karthak warships were massive and ugly, covered with weapon ports and armor plating. They fired their guns down at the planet in steady streams of deadly light. Report, Murphy ordered. Lieutenant Lisa Hayes worked quickly at her station. The colony's shields are at 30% and falling. I'm detecting multiple fires across the surface. The spaceport has been destroyed. What about evacuation ships? 3 attempted to launch in the last hour. All were shot down. Murphy felt rage building in his chest. The Karthak were not just attacking the colony. They were making sure no one could escape. They wanted to kill everyone or take them as slaves. Open a channel to Earth Fleet Command, Murphy said. Admiral Kate Rodriguez appeared on the screen. She was a strong woman with gray hair and hard eyes. She had fought in wars before humans ever met aliens. She knew what needed to be done. Admiral, we have a full siege situation here. 12 Karthak heavy cruisers. They're bombing civilian targets and shooting down escape ships. Rodriguez nodded. Understood, Captain. How long can the colony hold? Maybe 6 hours. Their shields won't last much longer. Then we don't have time to waste. Operation Deathworlders Promise is now active. Every ship in the Earth Defense Fleet is being called up. Mars Colonial Defense is coming. Europa Station is sending their ships. Even the Titan Mining Guild is bringing their armed transports. Murphy felt surprised. Admiral, that's over 200 ships. 237, to be exact. Captain, we learned something important when we first met the Galactic Council. Most species send help based on how much trouble they think they can handle. Humans don't work that way. When our friends are in trouble, we send everything we have. The channel closed. Murphy turned to his crew. You heard the Admiral. We're the advance guard until the fleet arrives. Lisa, take us in. Best possible speed. Sir. The enemy will see us coming. Good, I want them to see us. On the planet's surface, Commander Steve Baker crouched behind a pile of broken concrete. His 20 Marines were spread out around the main evacuation shelter. Inside the building, 300 alien civilians waited in fear. Baker was a career soldier. He had fought on Earth's moon when pirates tried to take the mining stations. He had led missions to protect human colonies from raiders. But this was different. These were not his people, but he would die before he let the Karthak hurt them. Baker to New Horizon, he spoke into his radio. We have civilians ready for pickup, but the landing zone is too hot. Enemy ground forces have us pinned down. Murphy's voice came back strong and clear. Hold your position, Commander. Help is coming. A young Zalani child ran up to Baker. The little alien had 4 arms and big yellow eyes full of tears. She tugged on Baker's uniform and pointed to the sky. Are the bad ships going to hurt us? She asked in broken English. Baker knelt down next to her. He had a daughter back on Earth who was about the same age. No, little one. We won't let them hurt you, I promise. The child smiled and ran back to her mother. Baker watched her go and made a silent vow. These people had done nothing wrong. They were miners and farmers and teachers. They deserved to live in peace. Above them in space, the New Horizon raced toward the enemy fleet. The Karthak ships turned to face the small human vessel. To them, it looked like an insect flying toward a giant. Warlord Dexmore stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dark Fang. He was a huge creature with thick gray skin and 4 arms ending in sharp claws. His species had conquered dozens of worlds by using fear and overwhelming force. What is that tiny ship doing? He asked his weapons officer. Unknown, Warlord. It appears to be approaching our position. Dexmore laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. 1 small ship against 12 of our finest warships. These humans must be very stupid or very brave. Either way, they will die. He was about to order his ships to destroy the New Horizon when his communication officer spoke. Up. Warlord, I am detecting massive hyperspace disturbances. Many ships are coming. How many? Sir, the readings are impossible. Over 200 ships are approaching this system. Dexmore felt his confidence shake. 200 ships? No species in the Galactic Council had that many warships. Even the Karthak Dominion only had 300 ships total, spread across 50 star systems. You must be wrong. Scan again. I have scanned 3 times, Warlord. The fleet is real. They will arrive in 4 hours. On the bridge of the New Horizon, Murphy opened a channel to all Karthak ships. Attention, Karthak forces. This is Captain Jake Murphy of the Earth Defense Force. You are attacking innocent civilians. Stop your bombardment immediately and withdraw from this system. Dexmore responded with anger. Human fool. You are 1 ship against 12. We will destroy you and then finish killing the weaklings on the planet. Murphy's voice stayed calm. Warlord, you don't understand the situation. You're not facing 1 ship. You're facing all of humanity. And we're bringing friends. Lies. No species would send their entire fleet to save strangers. Then you don't know humans very well. We have a saying on Earth. We leave no one behind. That includes people we just met. The communication channel went quiet. Dexmore stared at his screens in growing worry. His officers were reporting more and more ships coming out of hyperspace. Not just warships, but hospital ships, supply vessels, and troop transports. Ambassador Kethver watched from his research ship in amazement. The Galactic Council had sent him alone to try to negotiate. The humans were bringing an entire armada to fight. Ambassador, his assistant Porth said, the human fleet is larger than most species have ever built. Why would they risk so much for people they don't even know? Kefver thought about this question. In all his years of diplomacy, he had never seen anything like this. Most species helped their friends when it was safe and easy, but humans seemed willing to start a war to protect strangers. Porth, I think we are about to learn something very important about these humans. They are not like other species. They do not think like we do. On the planet's surface, Baker heard the sound of enemy aircraft approaching. 3 Karthak fighters were coming toward the evacuation shelter. He raised his rifle and prepared to make his last stand. Then the sky lit up with fire. The new horizon swept over the colony, its weapons blazing. All 3 enemy fighters exploded in bright balls of flame. Murphy's voice came over the radio. Commander Baker, this is your taxi service. We're here to get you out. Baker smiled and looked at the frightened civilians around him. You hear that, folks? The cavalry has arrived. And they brought friends. High above them, the first ships of the Earth Defense Fleet began to appear. They came out of hyperspace in perfect formation, ready for battle. The message was clear to everyone watching. Humanity had arrived, and they were not leaving without their people. Warlord Dexmore paced across his command bridge like a caged beast. His 4 claws clicked against the metal floor as he watched more human ships appear on his screens. 20 ships had become 50. 50 had become 100. The numbers kept growing. Report, he roared at his tactical officer. Sir, we now count 140 human vessels. They are holding position at the edge of the system. More are arriving every few minutes. Dexmore had conquered 17 worlds. For the Karthak Dominion, he had faced fleets before, but never anything like this. Most species sent a few ships to help their friends. The humans were bringing an entire armada to save strangers. What types of ships? He demanded. Battleships, carriers, destroyers, cruisers, but also hospital ships, supply vessels, and troop transports. Sir, they are not just coming to fight. They are coming to stay. On the planet's surface, Major Ryan Clark led his evacuation teams through the burning streets of New Haven, the colony's main city. Clark was a medic before he became a soldier. He had gentle hands that could heal wounds, but today those same hands carried a rifle. Around him, his teams moved quickly from building to building. They found alien families hiding in basements and storage rooms. Some were hurt. Some were scared. All of them looked at the human soldiers with hope in their eyes. This way, folks, Clark called out to a group of Zilani workers. We have transport ships waiting at the north landing pad. An old Zilani male limped toward him. The alien's leg was bleeding from bomb fragments. Clark quickly knelt down and wrapped the wound with medical supplies. Why are you helping us? The old alien asked. We are not your people. Clark looked into the alien's yellow eyes. Where I come from, anyone who needs help is our people. He helped the injured Zilani to his feet and called for a medic. Around them, other human soldiers shared their food and water with alien children. They gave their medical supplies to wounded civilians. They carried those who could not walk. The mining station's administrator was a Zilani named Prilmuth. She had worked on Zarian Prime for 15 years. She had seen many different species come and go, but she had never seen anything like these humans. Your soldiers, she said to Clark. They are giving away their own supplies. Yes, ma'am, that's what we do. But you might need those supplies for yourselves. Clark smiled. Ma'am, we didn't come here to take care of ourselves. We came here to take care of you. Prilmuth watched a human soldier give his last energy bar to a hungry Anthony child. The soldier's own stomach was rumbling with hunger, but he acted like it did not matter. I do not understand, she said. Most species help others only when it benefits them. Why do humans risk everything for strangers? Because that's what good people do, Clark said simply. And we try to be good people. In space above them, the human fleet continued to grow. Admiral Kate Rodriguez sat in her command chair aboard the massive carrier Indomitable Spirit. Around her, the bridge crew worked with calm efficiency. They had trained for this moment their entire careers. "Admiral, we now have 210 ships in formation," reported her tactical officer. "All ships report ready for combat." Rodriguez nodded. She opened a communication channel to all ships in the fleet. "This is Admiral Rodriguez to all vessels. Today we fight not for territory or resources. We fight for something much more important. We fight for innocent people who cannot protect themselves. We fight because it is right. All ships, prepare for battle." Across the fleet, thousands of human sailors and soldiers prepared their weapons. They checked their equipment. They said prayers for the people they were about to save. None of them questioned why they were risking their lives for aliens they had never met. It was simply what humans did. Ambassador Kethver watched the human fleet from his research ship. His hands shook as he tried to understand what he was seeing. The Galactic Council's greatest fleet had only 60 ships. The humans had brought more than 3 times that number. "Ambassador," his assistant Porth whispered, "should we try to negotiate? Perhaps we can prevent a war." Kethver thought about this. The Karthak did not negotiate when they were winning. They only understood strength. And now they faced more strength than any species had ever brought to bear. "Open a channel to the human admiral," Kethver said. Rodriguez appeared on his screen. She looked tired but determined. "Admiral, this is Ambassador Kethver of the Galactic Council. I want to help prevent unnecessary bloodshed. Perhaps I can convince the Karthak to withdraw. Ambassador, I appreciate your concern, but the time for talk has passed. Those monsters have been shooting down evacuation ships filled with families. They have bombed schools and hospitals. They chose war when they decided to murder innocent people. But Admiral, if you attack with such force, other species might see humans as aggressors. This could start a galactic war." Rodriguez's eyes grew hard. "Ambassador, let me be very clear. We did not start this fight, but we will finish it. And if other species want to threaten innocent people, they can face the same response. Earth protects those who cannot protect themselves. That is not negotiable." The channel closed. Kethver sat back in his chair. He finally understood what made humans different. Other species helped their friends when it was convenient. Humans helped anyone who needed help, regardless of the cost. On the Karthak flagship, Warlord Dexmore received reports from his scouts. The human fleet was not just large. It was perfectly organized. Their ships moved in coordinated formations. Their communications were secure and efficient. This was not a hastily assembled rescue force. This was a professional military responding to a crisis. "Sir," his weapons officer said nervously, "perhaps we should consider withdrawal. We have accomplished our primary objective of testing this system's defenses." Dexmore backhanded the officer across the face. "Coward, we do not run from inferior species. We are Karthak. We fear nothing." But even as he spoke, Dexmore felt doubt growing in his mind. His 12 ships suddenly seemed very small compared to the human armada. And the humans were not behaving like any species he had fought before. They were not trying to negotiate or find a peaceful solution. They were simply preparing to destroy him. Major Clark's radio crackled with Admiral Rodriguez's voice. "All ground forces, this is Admiral Rodriguez. We are beginning our final approach. All civilians must be in evacuation shelters within 1 hour." Clark looked around at the hundreds of aliens his teams had rescued. They filled 3 large shelters now, safe from the bombing. But there were still more people out there. More families hiding in the ruins. More children crying in the darkness. "Admiral, we need more time. There are still civilians in the outer districts." "Major, I understand. But we cannot wait much longer. The enemy will not surrender peacefully. Clark made a decision that would be remembered forever. Admiral, give us 2 more hours. My teams will find every last civilian. We don't leave anyone behind. Roger that, Major. 2 hours and then we go to war. Rodriguez closed the channel and turned to her tactical officer. Signal all ships. In 2 hours, we show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity's friends. The human fleet moved like a dark wave across the starfield. 237 ships advanced in perfect formation towards Zarian Prime. At the center of the armada, Admiral Kate Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Indomitable Spirit, watching her screens with cold determination. All ships report ready, Admiral, her tactical officer announced. Fighter squadrons are launched and in position. Rodriguez opened a channel to the entire fleet. This is Admiral Rodriguez. Today, we make a statement that will echo across the galaxy. No one threatens innocent people while humanity stands watch. All ships, weapons free. Show them what Earth's children can do. Warlord Dexmore watched the approaching human fleet with growing terror. His 12 heavy cruisers looked like toys compared to the massive force bearing down on him. His hands shook as he gripped his command chair. Open a channel to the human admiral, he ordered. Rodriguez's face appeared on his screen. Her eyes were like ice. Human admiral, I am Warlord Dexmore of the Karthak Dominion. Perhaps we can reach an agreement. We are both reasonable beings. Reasonable? Rodriguez's voice was deadly quiet. You shot down evacuation ships. You bombed schools. You tried to murder 50,000 innocent people. There is nothing reasonable about you. But surely we can negotiate. What do you want? Territory? Resources? We can share this system. Rodriguez leaned forward. What I want is simple, Warlord. I want you to surrender your ships and face justice for your crimes. You have 30 seconds to comply. Dexmore's fear turned to rage. 30 seconds? You dare give me an ultimatum. I am Karthak. We do not surrender to inferior species. Then you die with them, Rodriguez said, and closed the channel. The human attack began with terrible precision. Fighter squadrons swept down on the Karthak ships like swarms of angry hornets. Human pilots flew their small craft with skill that amazed the watching aliens. They dodged heavy weapons fire and struck at weak points in the enemy armor. Captain Jake Murphy led the first assault wave in the New Horizon. His small ship darted between the massive Karthak cruisers, targeting their weapon systems. Behind him, human destroyers followed up with devastating missile strikes. All squadrons focus fire on their shield generators, Murphy commanded. Take them down piece by piece. The Karthak tried to fight back, but they were overwhelmed. Their ships had been designed to attack weak colonies and merchant vessels. They were not ready for professional military forces with superior training and equipment. On the surface of Zarian Prime, Major Ryan Clark watched the space battle from the evacuation shelter. Explosions lit up the sky above them as human and Karthak ships exchanged fire. The alien civilians crowded around windows, watching their rescuers fight for their lives. Major, one of his sergeants called out. We've got incoming enemy shuttles. Looks like they're trying to land more troops. Clark grabbed his rifle and headed for the door. Not while I'm breathing. All teams defensive positions. Protect the shelters at all costs. The battle on the ground was fierce but brief. Karthak soldiers were strong and brutal, but they fought without organization or purpose. Human Marines moved like a single organism, covering each other and advancing with tactical precision. Clark found himself face to face with a massive Karthak warrior. The alien was twice his size and armed with energy weapons. But Clark had something the warrior did not. He was fighting to protect innocent people, not to destroy them. The fight ended with the Karthak warrior on the ground and Clark standing over him. Around the battlefield, other human soldiers had won similar victories. The enemy ground forces were defeated. In space, the battle was turning into a disaster for the Karthak. 5 of their cruisers had been destroyed. 3 more were badly damaged and trying to escape. Only 4 ships remained in fighting condition. Warlord Dexmar's flagship shook under repeated human attacks. His bridge was filled with smoke and sparks. Half his crew was dead or wounded. "Sir, we must retreat," his navigation officer shouted over the sound of alarms. "We cannot win this battle." "No," Dexmar roared. "We are Karthak. We do not run from anyone." He turned his ship toward the human flagship and ordered full power to weapons. If he was going to die, he would take as many humans with him as possible. The Dark Fang charged toward the indomitable spirit like a mad beast. Its weapons blazed with desperate fury. For a moment, it looked like the Karthak flagship might reach its target. Then the human carrier's defensive systems came online. Point defense guns filled space with deadly fire. Fighter squadrons swarmed around the attacking ship like wolves around a wounded bear. In seconds, the Dark Fang was torn apart by overwhelming firepower. Warlord Dexmar died, still cursing the humans who had destroyed his fleet. The remaining Karthak ships saw their leader's death and finally broke. They turned and fled toward the edge of the system, hoping to reach hyperspace before the humans could catch them. But Admiral Rodriguez was not finished with them. "All pursuit squadrons, intercept those fleeing vessels. I want survivors for questioning, but I will not let them escape to threaten other innocent people." The human ships were faster and better equipped. One by one, they caught the fleeing Karthak vessels. Some surrendered when they realized escape was impossible. Others chose to fight and were destroyed. Within 2 hours of the battle's start, it was over. The Karthak threat to Zarian Prime was ended forever. Ambassador Kethver sat in stunned silence as he watched the aftermath. The human fleet had not just won the battle. They had completely destroyed an enemy force that outnumbered them individually, but was overwhelmed by their superior numbers and tactics. "Ambassador," his assistant Porth whispered, "the humans fought like nothing I have ever seen. They coordinated perfectly. They showed no mercy to enemies but protected every civilian. What kind of people are they?" Kethver thought about this question as he watched human hospital ships moving toward the planet to treat wounded aliens. He watched supply ships bringing food and medical supplies. He watched human engineers beginning to repair the damaged colony. "Porth, I think we have just witnessed something that will change the galaxy forever. We have seen what happens when a warrior species decides to use their strength to protect the weak instead of conquering them." On the surface, Major Clark walked through the evacuation shelters, checking on the rescued civilians. Everywhere he looked, he saw alien families holding each other and crying with relief. Children who had been hiding in terror were now laughing and playing. An old Zelani female approached him. She was the same one he had treated earlier, the one who had asked why humans were helping strangers. "Major," she said softly, "I understand now. You help us because you are good people. But I have another question. What happens now? Will you stay to protect us?" Clark knelt down to her level. "Ma'am, we'll stay as long as you need us. But more than that, Earth will remember what happened here. If anyone ever threatens you again, they'll have to answer to all of humanity." The old alien smiled and patted his cheek with her four-fingered hand. "Thank you, young human. You have given us back our lives." As Clark looked around at the thousands of grateful aliens, he realized that something important had changed today. Humans had not just won a battle. They had made a promise to the galaxy that they would keep forever. Admiral Rodriguez's voice came over the communication systems, speaking to every ship in the fleet and every person on the planet. "Today we have shown the galaxy who we are. We are Earth's children, and we protect those who cannot protect themselves. Let this message go forth to every species among the stars. Attack the innocent, and you face humanity's wrath. But seek our friendship, and you will have our protection forever. 3 days after the battle, Zarian Prime looked like a different world. Human engineering ships worked around the clock to repair the damaged colony. The broken spaceport was being rebuilt with better defenses. New hospitals were going up to replace the ones destroyed by Carthage bombs. Captain Jake Murphy walked through the main street of New Haven with Prilmuth, the colony administrator. Everywhere they looked, humans and aliens worked side by side. Human medics treated wounded Zelani children. Alien engineers helped repair human ships. The barriers between species seemed to have disappeared. Captain Murphy, Prilmuth said, "Your people have done more in 3 days than we thought possible. But this must be costing Earth a great deal of money and resources." Murphy smiled. "Ma'am, you can't put a price on doing the right thing. Besides, we're not just helping you. We're building something bigger." "What do you mean?" "We're building trust. We're showing the galaxy that not all strong species use their power to hurt others. Some use it to protect." In the colony's medical center, Major Ryan Clark supervised the treatment of the last wounded civilians. Human doctors worked alongside alien healers, sharing knowledge and techniques. They had saved everyone who could be saved. Dr. Lisa Morgan, the fleet's chief medical officer, approached Clark with a datapad. "Major, I've got the final casualty report. We lost 18 Marines in the ground fighting, but we saved 49,837 civilians." Clark nodded solemnly. 18 good soldiers had died to protect strangers, but those soldiers had saved nearly 50,000 lives. It was a trade any human would make without hesitation. "Make sure their families know," Clark said. "They died as heroes. They died protecting innocent people who couldn't protect themselves." Across the galaxy, news of the battle spread like wildfire. The story of humans bringing an entire fleet to save alien civilians amazed every species. Some were inspired. Others were frightened. All were forced to reconsider what they thought they knew about these newcomers from Earth. Ambassador Kethver sat in his office on the Galactic Council's home world, writing his official report. His hands shook as he tried to find the right words to describe what he had witnessed. "The human response to the Zarian Prime crisis represents a fundamental shift in galactic politics," he wrote. "For the first time in recorded history, a species has deployed massive military force not for conquest or resources, but purely to protect innocent civilians of other species." He paused and thought about Captain Murphy's words. "We don't send small help." The humans had not sent a few ships or offered to negotiate. They had mobilized everything they had and sailed straight into battle against overwhelming odds. "The implications are staggering," he continued. "If humans are willing to fight wars to protect strangers, then the age of easy conquest may be ending. Aggressive species will have to consider that attacking any peaceful world might bring them into conflict with Earth's entire military." On Earth, Admiral Kate Rodriguez stood before the Global Defense Council in Geneva. The room was filled with representatives from every nation and colony. They all wanted to understand what had happened at Zarian Prime. "Admiral," asked the secretary. "General, some people are concerned that our response was too aggressive. They worry we might start a galactic war." Rodriguez looked around the room at the worried faces. "Ladies and gentlemen, let me be clear about something. We did not start this conflict. The Carthage chose to attack innocent civilians. We simply chose to stop them." "But Admiral," pressed a representative from Mars Colony, "we sent our entire fleet to save aliens we barely know. What if other aggressive species see this as a threat? Then they will learn the same lesson that Carthage learned. Earth protects those who cannot protect themselves. If other species see that as threatening, Perhaps they should examine their own intentions. The room fell silent. Finally, the Secretary General spoke. Admiral, what you're describing sounds like we're appointing ourselves as the galaxy's police. Force. Rodriguez shook her head. No, sir. We're not trying to rule anyone. We're simply making it clear that genocide and slavery will not be tolerated while humanity exists. Any species that wants to live in peace will find us to be good friends. Any species that wants to prey on the weak will find us to be their worst nightmare. Back on Zarian Prime, the evacuation was finally complete. The last of the wounded had been treated. The colony's defenses have been repaired and strengthened. It was time for most of the human fleet to return home. Captain Murphy stood on his bridge, preparing for departure. But his ship would not be leaving with the others. The New Horizon and 5 other vessels would remain in the system as a permanent Protection Force. Commander Steve Baker approached Murphy with a concerned expression. Captain, are you sure about this? Earth needs experienced officers back home. Murphy looked out at the planet they had saved. Steve, there are 50,000 people down there who trusted us to protect them. I'm not leaving until I'm sure they're safe. But sir, the Karthak threat is ended. Their fleet is destroyed. The Karthak were just one threat, Commander. There are other aggressive species out there. Other warlords who might think this system looks like easy prey. We're staying to make sure they think again. The ceremony took place in the colony's main square. Representatives from every species on Zarian Prime gathered to thank their human rescuers. Children presented flowers to soldiers. Families shared traditional foods with their protectors. There were tears and laughter and songs in a dozen different languages. Prilmuth stood at a podium before the crowd. Her voice carried across the square as she spoke. 3 weeks ago, we thought we were going to die. The enemy ships came in the night and we had nowhere to run. We sent a distress signal, not expecting anyone to answer. She paused and looked at the human officers standing nearby. But someone did answer. Not just one ship, but an entire fleet. Not just soldiers, but healers and engineers and people who cared about strangers they had never met. The crowd cheered. Alien children ran up to human Marines and hugged their legs. Old beings who had lived through many wars wept openly at the kindness they had witnessed. We have learned something important, Prilmuth continued. We have learned that strength does not have to mean cruelty. Power does not have to mean oppression. We have seen a species that uses its might to protect the weak instead of conquering them. She turned directly to Murphy. Captain, your people have given us more than our lives. You have given us hope. Hope that the galaxy can be a better place. Hope that good people can win against evil ones. Hope that no one has to face darkness alone. Murphy stepped forward and spoke to the crowd. Friends, we didn't come here to be heroes. We came here because it was right. And we want you to know that this protection doesn't end today. Earth remembers its friends. If anyone ever threatens you again, you call us. We'll come running. The crowd erupted in cheers that could be heard across the colony. But Murphy wasn't finished. More than that, we want you to remember something important. You are not alone anymore. Earth stands with you. And Earth stands with anyone who chooses peace over violence, protection over conquest, hope over fear. As the ceremony ended and the fleet prepared to depart, Ambassador Kethver filed his final report to the Galactic Council. His words would be debated and discussed for years to come. The humans have fundamentally changed the balance of power in our galaxy, he wrote. Not through conquest or intimidation, but through an act of such selfless courage that it will be remembered for generations. They have shown us what a truly advanced civilization looks like. The question now is not whether humans will become a major power among the stars. They already are. The question is whether the rest of us will rise to meet their example, or whether we will continue to accept a galaxy where might makes right and the strong prey upon the weak. For my part, I believe we have witnessed the beginning of a new age. An age where protecting the innocent is more important than protecting yourself. An age where doing right matters more than doing well. An age where no one stands alone against the darkness. The humans have a saying, "We don't send small help." Today, that phrase will echo across the galaxy. And tomorrow, when the next crisis comes, we will all remember that humanity's answer to evil is not negotiation or compromise. It is everything they have.